Let me ask you something. When's the last time you got sick right after a big fight? Or your back went out during a stretch of tension at home? Or you caught every cold going around the office during a particularly hard season in any important relationship? You probably chalked it up to stress. Maybe you told yourself you need more sleep, more vitamins, a better morning routine. Here's what the science is actually saying, what almost nobody in the wellness space is willing to say out loud. Your relationships are your primary health intervention. Not your supplements, not your cold plunge, not your infrared sauna, not your $200 probiotic. And I want to be really clear right now. I'm not just talking to people in romantic partnerships. I'm talking to anyone who has a nervous system, which is everyone watching this. Whether you're partnered, single, divorced, or somewhere in between, your relational nervous system is always online. And the quality of your closest connections is directly shaping your immune function, your inflammation levels, and your long-term physical health. Today, I'm going to show you the biology of why and give you something you can use before you go to bed tonight. Let's go. We're going to cover 3 things today. First, the cortisol tax. What actually happens inside your body when you're living in a state of relational tension and what that does to your immune system over time. Second, the low-grade flame. Why chronic, unresolved stress in any close relationship is more dangerous than you think, and why it shows up in your body as pain, fog, and fatigue, and no doctor can fully explain. And third, the ROI of peace. The science behind why 5 minutes of genuine co-regulation with a partner, a friend, a family member, or even yourself is worth more to your immune system than most supplement protocols on the market. All right, let's get into this. I want to start by painting you a picture. There was a significant conflict recently. Maybe with a partner, maybe with a close friend, maybe with a family member who you can't avoid. Maybe it escalated, or maybe it just fizzled out, unresolved, the way so many conflicts do. You went to bed, you woke up, and something feels off. Foggy, irritable, your throat feels scratchy, your shoulders are already tense before you've even had your coffee. That's not a coincidence. Here's what happened in your body overnight. When your nervous system detects a threat, an unresolved conflict with someone important to you registers as a threat, even when you're over it. Your brain signals your adrenal glands to release cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. In short bursts, it's actually useful. It sharpens focus, mobilizes energy, and it helps you respond to danger. But here's the problem. Your body was designed for acute stress. Run from the lion, fight the attacker, resolve the crisis, then return to baseline. That's the system working correctly. What your body was not designed for is chronic low-level stress, the kind that doesn't resolve, the kind that lives in the background of a relationship that doesn't feel fully safe. Whether that's a romantic partnership, a best friend you're drifting from, a family member whose calls make your stomach drop, or a coworker whose energy keeps you perpetually on edge. When cortisol stays elevated, not spiked, just chronically present, it begins to suppress your T cells, your immune system's internal security force. The cells responsible for fighting infections, regulating inflammation, and keeping you from getting knocked down every time someone sneezes near you. The Gottman Institute studied this directly. Couples who've had high hostility conflicts showed measurably weaker immune function 24 hours later. And while that research focused on romantic partnerships, the mechanism is identical in any close relationship because the nervous system doesn't check your relationship status before it decides whether you're safe. One significant conflict, a full day of biological vulnerability. Multiply that by weeks, months, years of unresolved relational tension with anyone you care about. That is the cortisol tax. And most people are paying it without even knowing it has a name. Now I want to talk about something even more insidious than the big explosive conflicts. And that's the quiet ones. Because most people watching this aren't in daily screaming matches. You're in something harder to name. The slow drift from a friendship that used to feel like home. The family dynamic where everyone is polite but nothing is ever really okay. The work relationship where you spend 8 hours a day managing someone else's unpredictability. The solo season where the absence of connection creates its own kind of chronic stress. This is what I call the low-grade flame. And here's why it matters physically. Chronic relational stress, the kind that never fully resolves, keeps your nervous system in a state of partial activation. You never fully escalate into a crisis, but you never fully calm down either. And physiologically, that creates a systemic low-grade inflammation. This is the underlying driver behind some of the most common and most frustrating health complaints I hear. Back pain with no structural explanation. You've had the MRI. Nothing is catastrophically wrong, but it aches, and it tends to flare during periods of high relational tension. Not because you pulled something, but because your body is holding the weight of unresolved stress in your musculature. Migraines that cycle with conflict. The stress response constricts blood vessels, alters hormone levels, and disrupts sleep. All migraine triggers. If your migraine seems to follow a relational calendar, that's not a coincidence. Digestive issues that no elimination diet can fix. The gut is heavily innervated by the vagus nerve, the same nerve that co-regulation directly activates. When that nerve is chronically dysregulated, digestion suffers. Brain fog that sleep doesn't clear. Cortisol disrupts sleep architecture, not just quantity, but quality. You can get 7 hours and still wake up depleted because your nervous system was processing relational threat all night. And here's what I want to say to my solo listeners specifically right now. The low-grade flame isn't only about conflict. It can also be the chronic stress of loneliness, of a nervous system that is wired for connection and not getting enough of it. Research consistently shows that loneliness produces the same inflammatory markers as chronic conflict. Your body experiences the absence of safe connection as a threat just as readily as it experiences the presence of unsafe connection. If you're in a solo season, you may feel chronically depleted, foggy, or unwell. That is not weakness. This is your nervous system accurately reporting that something essential is missing, and it can be addressed. This is where I want to shift, because I don't want to leave you in the biology of the problem without giving you the biology of the solution. And the solution is co-regulation. Now I want to address something directly, because every time I talk about co-regulation, someone in the comments says, "But Erica, I'm single. I don't have a partner. Does this apply to me?" Yes. Empathetically, completely, yes. Co-regulation is not a couple skill. It's a human skill. Your nervous system was designed for connection from the moment you were born, and that design doesn't require a romantic partner to function. Co-regulation happens between friends, between siblings, between you and a therapist, between you and a pet to some degree, between you and a trusted coworker, between you and a community. And this is the part I really want you to hear. Co-regulation starts with self-regulation. Your ability to be a safe presence for your own nervous system. To recognize when you're activated. To have tools to bring you back. To be someone your own body can trust. That is the foundation for partnered people and solo people alike. Here's the physiology of what happens when genuine safe connection occurs in any form. The vagus nerve activates the parasympathetic system. Cortisol drops. Oxytocin releases. And oxytocin is a powerful anti-inflammatory. T-cell function restores. Blood pressure lowers. Sleep quality improves. heart rate variability increases. 5 minutes of genuine nervous system safety, whether that comes from a partner, a phone call with your best friend, a hug from your sister, or a guided audio that walks your own nervous system back to green, produces measurable physiological change. You cannot biohack your way out of a chronic relational dysregulation, but you can regulate your way back to health. And you don't have to be in a romantic relationship to do it. So, what does this actually look like in practice? This week, I'm sharing 4 somatic tools: the woo sound, the butterfly hug, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory reset, and the spiral reset audio that are designed to work whether you're regulated with someone or regulated on your own. Because the nervous system responds to safety signals regardless of their source. And building your own regulation capacity is the most important thing you can do, partnered or not. Links to all of those are in the description below. And if you're ready to go deeper, the Stop the Spiral workshop is built for everyone, partnered, solo, somewhere in between, because the spiral doesn't require 2 people. You can spiral alone. You can spiral in a friendship, you can spiral in the silence of a solo season that's lasted longer than you expected. What you learn in this workshop is how to recognize a spiral in your own nervous system and how to stop it. With or without a partner in the room. $37, 60 minutes. The link is below. And if this video landed for you, leave me a comment. Tell me what relationship in your life, romantic, friendship, family, is costing you the most right now. I read every single one. And I'll see you next week.